like it. Welcoming to the show, Lauren Aiyana, who I've had you on before, right?
Yes.
Refresh my memory.
2 years ago, I was doing meditations at the ocean during the pandemic.
I remember this.
Yes. And I was having groups of women there to kind of balance and feel connected.
That must have been such medicine at the time.
Yeah, it was.
It was such a lonely period.
It was a really intense time, I think, because, people weren't quite sure exactly what the levels of risk were and what was going on. So the ocean felt like a safe space. And we were able to create some really beautiful energy. And I think it was quite fulfilling for people, so yeah.
So tell me more about you. You were just catching me up. You grew up here.
Yes, born and raised in the area. And then after I graduated high school, I've been kind of worldwide on a journey. And now I'm back pretty much like in the summers. I spend a lot of summer
where did you go?
here.
Where did you go after graduating?
So I lived in Florida for a while.
You were mentioning your family was going back and forth.
Yep, I lived in Florida, and then I also lived in the mountains of the Carolinas.
Beautiful.
Yes, I love it there. They have, Lake Lure is such an amazing area, so you can take your boat out there, and it's like really calm, and it has beautiful mountains. So,
did you see any of the wild horses out in Carolinas?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of wild horses. There's even, funnily, buffalo out there.
Love it.
Yes.
Talk about really going into the history of our nation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Asheville in the Carolinas is also really cool because they have a lot of organic farming. So I thought that was awesome to be in an area where people are kind of mindful and living in a healthy way. So
we have quite a bit of that out here as well.
Yeah.
More and more organic farms popping up every day.
Yeah, it's
well,
great.
not every day, because it's very difficult. It's very hard to establish an organic farm.
Yeah, I think the soil quality still needs quite a bit of improvement in this area, but I know that every time that there's organic farmers that are really putting their love and heart into their farming practices, that you have more and more plots of soil that kind of spread the goodness. And
what got you into the level of care about food, about soil? Where did that start for you?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, my dad was really into hunting and fishing, and he actually developed fame over that here in the Hamptons and also worldwide. He had a TV show on the Outdoor Life Network.
What's his name?
Tread Barta.
Okay.
And I always had a little bit of conflict, to be honest.
Right, when it comes to...
Yeah, when it comes to the sustainability, hunting, fishing, what our energy is with our relationship with the earth. And so I've been a vegetarian since I was 14.
Okay.
So I kind of felt that was how I wanted to go. But I have so many friends that eat meat, and it's I totally have...
You don't judge.
No judgment.
Judgment-free zone.
No judgment.
It's personal choice.
Yeah, and so after that, I got really into yoga or mindfulness. I was really interested in biodynamic farming, sustainable farming, wellness, just things that I felt were fostering some sort of heartfelt connection.
You know who's really into and apparently knows quite a bit about biodynamics. I know a little bit. But it's the gentleman who runs the wine shop at East Shops.
Oh, okay.
I went in there and he said, if he gave me his card and he said, if you ever want to talk about biodynamic farming, I was like, wow. Sure.
I wonder if that's, is that the Rist family? Or is that a different wine shop?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I forgive the gentleman who runs the shop there for my not knowing.
Yeah.
They're from here, right?
Yeah. Well, I know Holly Rist and Kurt Rist. I know that their dad has a wine shop, and they seem like a pretty
that sounds familiar, actually.
Tuned in family. They're all surfers, so they I think that they're pretty mindful of things like that.
I'm like looking it up now. All right, so you mentioned something. You've got a business, right, called the Light Thread?
Yeah, so me and one of my really dear friends, Noemi, we have a company called The Light Thread. We do like holistic coaching, life coaching, energy healing, women's retreats, and we also work like with the general population, and then also there's a niche like with the fashion industry, in the seasonal parts with the fashion industry.
Okay.
So we do retreats for models sometimes. Noemi, she was a very, very popular model in the 90s. So she worked like with all the big brands and then the big fashion houses.
This is immediately making sense to me because like I'm thinking that model life, appears glamorous, but must be very high stress.
Absolutely. And there's so much pressure with like image, and then therefore it can easily go from empowerment to vanity, or
Right.
like chip away at the self-esteem.
Or from empowerment to objectification or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
I always think that's so interesting, and the way that the younger generations are starting to turn on the head objectification, taking it back in a way,
Yeah.
and having that be more empowerment or liberation.
Absolutely. And, no matter what profession you're in, modeling, you're in the spotlight, and so it's more amped up there. But really, like with social media and the internet and everything these days, like women everywhere are feeling some sort of pressure. And so having that ability to like connect with your heart, connect with your center, feel grounded, kind of evaluate what your personal values are, then you can put that together and feel empowered and feel purposeful in whatever you're doing. And it was really beautiful. So Noemi, she was really popular in the 90s, and then she had a lot of archives with different fashion houses from photos that were taken way back when. And right as we were like in the heat of like building bigger things with the Light Thread, Giorgio Armani called her and he said, we're going to use, well, she used to model for him often.
For Armani.
Yeah. So he called her and he said, I really would like to use one of your archives for a runway show in Milan. And it was a photo of her smiling, like this really beautiful smile. It's like kind of like one of their iconic images that they use in Emporio Armani. And so they blew up her photo above the runway of her smiling. And for that show, like all the models would walk out underneath the photo.
Imagine.
Mr. Armani was standing behind the scene saying to every model that came out, smile, shine your light. This show is different.
That's beautiful.
And it was amazing. It was so beautiful.
It reminds me of, I'm having a brain fart, but what is the local organization that helps young women to run triathlons? I Try Girls.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. They're all about teaching young women to shine the light from within bright.
Exactly.
Because, the inner happiness of one becomes happiness for all.
It spreads, and it's like seeing models genuinely smile on the runway is like, it's kind of rare. Like,
yeah,
it's very
known. It's not what you think of when you think of a runway show. The smile is not what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. It's like, it's very chic and it's very like classic. Sometimes, it can have its moments. There's pros and cons of it, but I just know for us and for our company and for that moment, like the synchronicity of it was so beautiful because we were so focused in wellness at that time.
Makes you feel like I don't know about you, but synchronicities sometimes make me feel like, not that there is such thing as a right direction, really. Any direction is right or can be. Yeah. But it makes me feel like, I don't know, it's something special, like I'm moving in the right direction, even if it doesn't exist.
Totally. It's like an affirmation, I think. And sometimes most of the time you can't even like anticipate it, and it's not something that you can expect, but it's affirming. And especially if you're like, let's say you're in a good groove with yourself, and then certain things just line up or kind of flow naturally.
Like living in flows.
Yeah, living in flow. It feels affirming, I think.
I agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. So, and I wanted to mention, just going back to what we were talking about, that shop is called Wines by Nature.
Okay.
And speaking of shops, you mentioned to me that your friend has a new spa
Yes,
here in
yes,
Southampton.
Rachel.
Should we give a shout out to them?
Absolutely. I'd love to. Blue Water Spa in downtown Southampton. I think it's right behind San Ambrose. She
Okay.
is absolutely phenomenal. Like the owner, her facials are world class. Just spectacular.
That's right over by the historical museum, right?
I think so. I'm a little turned around with like exactly where everything's located, but it's that little side street off of where the main street is, where St. Ambrose is.
Right.
Yeah.
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 I think that's right. That's right over there by
Yeah.
the historic society. How cool.
Yeah, she's amazing.
So tell me
Definitely go.
more about Rachel. Did you guys grow up together as well?
No, I don't know her that long. I met her out here, and I also went in to go get a facial from her at her spa, and she just has like a really nice energy. I feel like she's pretty mindful and conscious too. Like she has a life coach, which I think is awesome, and she's into like, like good products, and she's also, to be quite frank, a badass. Like as an
I love that.
esthetician, she's so good. Like she has such a presence when you walk in the room. Like she really, you feel like you're in good hands. You know what I mean?
That's always a good way to feel. And
Yeah.
it's nice to feel. I think you said something about that she's warm
Yeah,
and friendly,
totally.
because it's the same thing. Like when you're talking about a model, a traditional model face is not a smile, and then the Armani show
Yeah.
being a little bit different. Sometimes things can feel a little cold when you go into like a spa situation or
Yeah.
intimidating.
Absolutely. I think anything that can be considered elite or fancy can have that air to it, but really we're all human. And if you just are like a soulful person, you have like a good heartfelt energy, and you can relate to people and like,
So important.
yeah, like heartfelt topics, then you have very fulfilling conversations, and then you can actually like breathe positivity into whatever industry you're in.
And I love to know that you're doing so in your own. Where can people find information about the light thread?
Yeah, so we it's thelightthread.com, and we're also on Instagram at thelightthread, and that's really the best place to find us.
Do you have anything coming up immediately or no?
Well, right now I do have a few women's retreats planned, but they're like at private estates for private clients.
Okay.
So a lot of times, like if women have a group of friends and they want to do something, they can kind of customize something specific. But right now, nothing open to the public quite yet.
I'm Gianna Volpe. That was Lauren Aiyana. These are villagers, and you, whoever you are out there, you are awesome. And you're listening to Long Island's only local NPR radio station, WLIWFM. This edition underwritten by Long Island Game Farm and Guild Hall. We'll be back.